Good morning. I am very excited to welcome and thank all of you for joining today's Employment Champions Breakfast. I am so sorry that I cannot be there with you all in person, as this is such an exciting and wonderful day to celebrate Skills for Chicagoland's future 10th anniversary. It's especially poignant for me as I had the opportunity to be there from the very start in 2012 as the founding chair of Skills. I fundamentally believe that the formula for success for sustainable and durable programs that advance economic mobility requires strong public-private partnerships working closely and cohesively together, something that we all know is not always easy to do, nor should be taken for granted. From the beginning, we worked very hard to create an organization that brought everyone together. We had the philanthropic community and government willing to help, but we knew we needed the private sector at the table from the start. We knew that the business community had to see the value in what Skills for Chicagoland offered. From day one, we had 20 business leaders join the board. Today, you have 40 highly engaged business leaders on this board, which is a fantastic testament to the quality of work of Skills. And not only did all of you create an incredible program, you created a model for success that others are now replicating. For example, when then Rhode Island Governor Gina Raimondo was looking for innovative workforce solutions for her state, she turned to Skills for Chicagoland's future. What is exciting is that Skills for Rhode Island's future became the first replication site and form the basis for the national expansion plans you will hear more about today. As you all know, I left Chicago to serve as your Secretary of Commerce, but I also applied the lessons of Skills for Chicagoland to my work in government, creating the first ever skilled workforce program at the department. What's clear is that in these 10 years, you have all accomplished so much together. And I am so very proud of you for this tireless effort. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart as you have helped make the lives of so many Chicagoans better. Happy 10th anniversary.
Good morning. I mean, how great to see almost 700 people in this room. When is the last time you were all together? I mean, how awesome is that? Thank you so much for coming. Pulling out those clothes, seeing what still fits. We're happy you're all here. This is so special for us today because it's our 10th anniversary. We're celebrating 10,000 job seekers placed into jobs. And I was there from the beginning. And so we're going to have a lot of fun today talking about what's happened. Today is a record event for us. It really is. The previous high we had before COVID was 500 people, and today we're at 700. We have 95 sponsors. Our first year we had 30. Our first year we raised about $250,000. And are you ready for this? This year we've raised, with your help in this room, $1.5 million. I mean, wow. We're not done. We might have a day of ask. So just hang with me. So this morning's breakfast is going to have 3 key themes, which are really important to me about the last 10 years. Gratitude, reflection, and celebration. You're going to feel that today. Today's event's going to be a little bit different. The other piece that's going to be a little different is one of the things that you've always told us after this event is that you love hearing from the people who've actually been placed into jobs. And that's what you want to hear more of. And so it is jam-packed with that today. And please, please enjoy the genuine nature of individuals who are taking the time to share their personal stories, which I always think is incredible. All right, so to get us started and to get the blood flowing, I want to thank all the hiring companies in 2022. So get ready. I know you're eating, but if you're in this room and you are sitting at a table and you have hired anybody through Skills this year, I'd like you to stand up because I want this room to see that. Stand up if you're a hiring company. Stand up. Look at that. That's incredible. And I know some of you are being kind and you're thinking, well, I didn't personally hire somebody, but your company did. So thank you for that. Our top 5 hiring partners so far, there's a couple months left, so you can still get in there. But our top 5 right now, top 5 hiring companies in 2022 are Divvy, Discover, Jewel Osco, Walgreens, and Ferrara Candy Company. So thank you to those top 5. To do this work, we rely on private funding to the tune of 85% of our funding. So I'd like to take a moment right now to acknowledge all of you, our sponsors and special guests that have contributed to that. Let's start with our leading sponsor. Our presenting sponsor this year is Jewel Osco. Thank you, Jewel. I do want to give them a big round of applause, and then we can hold the round for the rest of them. Really exciting to see what Jewel has to share with us today. And then I'll do these all together and we can give a round of applause at the end. The champion sponsors. So Greg and Anna Brown, BDT and Company, the Chicago Fire, Mark Hoppelmazian and Rachel Kohler, Hyatt Hotels Foundation, Motorola Solutions, and Margot and Thomas Pritzker Family Foundation. Thank you so much for being our big sponsors this year. All right, I promise just a few more thank yous here and then you can go back to eating. A special thank you to our event committee co-chaired by Mark Kendall and Claudia Saran. No small task, biggest fundraiser ever. Thank you. And thank you to all our board members. We'll show your names as well. We are 40 strong. Thank you so much for what you've done. We could not do this without you. So have your coffee, have your meal, but maybe eat a little quietly because this is a beautiful video, an impact video. So sit back and enjoy.
It was roughly 2012, and the unemployment rate was still really high from the recession. It was roughly about 9.4% in Chicago. And then for Black and brown neighbors and friends, it was 16%. There was a wide discrepancy in who was getting jobs.
We have been having inside JP Morgan Chase a lot of conversation about how do we link to the community? How do we find better talent? And how do we actually become present in a lot of the communities?
Growing up, I felt like we didn't see like any tradesmen. We didn't see a doctor. We never seen a lawyer. All we saw was the people that was hustling on the corners.
Well, I was homeless at the age of 18. I graduated high school in the streets. From there, I just was couch surfing mostly, trying to find a place to lay my head, get my things together, and get me a job.
I was looking for a job to help my mom with her bills. My dad passed in 2012. For a year, so my mom didn't have a second person to help her.
So enter skills. The heart and soul of the work was about ensuring that we got individuals from the South and West sides into jobs. But the way we did that was by really deeply penetrating the business market and getting to know what companies were looking for. Early on, part of the convincing was letting employers know that we were not going to push talent on them and ask them to make compromises, but that we were actually going to find the best talent out in the market. You have to find early supporters and funders who are committed to trying something different and are willing to take risks with you. We grew up during a time when unemployment was really high. And when unemployment is really high, the unemployed need us. When unemployment is really low, the companies need us.
It's about the human impact. This is not just about tallying up numbers, but when you connect with the actual impact that has on individuals' lives who had a challenging upbringing or are coming out of a difficult home life, and they find new purpose in life through the job that they were able to get. I mean, that's magic.
My name is Marquise Pittz. I work for Rush Hospital, and I'm a patient transport.
My name's Jason Curtis. I'm currently a cook at HMSO's Chili's Terminal 3 at O'Hare.
My name is Jackie Pinedo. I am the services manager here at Ulta Beauty in Wicker Park.
Around 2017, I was at an event where they were talking about summer employment as a solution. And as I was there and listened to young person after young person talk, what I heard them talk about was actually not needing a summer job, that they needed a year-round job. Our youth needed it, our city needed it, and we had this unique opportunity to fill it.
Skills is here to help not only give you a job, but to give you a career.
I think what continues to hook me is how at any point where I feel like we've hit a roadblock, there's new ideas for ways to intersect and work in the communities.
How did COVID impact skills? Wow, 55% of our companies stopped hiring. But being skills and being agile like we are, we knew that that meant two things. One, it was a call to action for us because that meant that hundreds of thousands of people were now unemployed. And who knew how long that was going to be? And that's like the soul of our work.
And during the pandemic, when we had an essential workforce that had needs, we were able to partner with skills and get, where everybody else was shut down, we were able to get talent.
I hope that when people think of skills, first and foremost, they recognize it as a highly professional organization run with phenomenal disciplines.
The thing about skills is they make sure whoever applies with skills gets the opportunity, regardless of what's in the resume, what's not in the resume.
I was very nervous getting a job like that, being in that type of environment. Skills definitely made me comfortable and prepared.
What we found is that individuals who come from being placed by skills have a higher wage rate over time, have a higher retention rate over time, and that the ROI of any donor's dollars into skills translates to 251%. It is our responsibility to get this information out and to work with other cities, take the skills model and put hundreds of thousands of unemployed into jobs across this nation.
So skills within Chicago has already reached a very important milestone, which is placing over 10,000 people over its history. And all of that has expanded. And we're on track to place more people this year than we ever have.
So I initially started as a utility, washing dishes, cleaning tables and such. Then I worked my way and got promoted to a cook. With that, I've been with them for about 7 years. After I got a job, I was actually a valid person now, found me a decent girl the same month that I got employed. She saw that I was really trying to work and make things happen.
It's been a couple of years now, and the fact that I'm the youngest services manager in my district is pretty crazy too. So that's something to celebrate. Not too long ago, we did a skills hiring event, and I was able to be part of that. Because as I sat there, I was like, this is the weirdest thing ever. Because where she's sitting at, that's where I was.
When I did the skills program, I actually did a speech. And Omar Latif, that's the CEO of Rush, he was there and we were able to connect. Together, me and Omar, we're building a community center on Washington Kilda right here in my neighborhood.
I would love to see a skills in many of the communities and cities where we actually have hubs.
It's really about skill and its work. And so what can folks do? If you're not hiring with skills, you can start hiring with skills. You can donate. Donations are critical. And you can partner, to partner with us in a way that we can solve problems together. That's the way you get things done.
Trying to catch my breath, honestly, even though I was part of seeing that beforehand. It's incredible to see what has happened over the years with some of these folks. So look forward to hearing more. So 10 years of skills. It almost doesn't feel real when I say it. It's gone by so fast. Think about how different things were 10 years ago. In September of 2012, as Skills was launching, we were just starting to come out of the Great Recession. We had a new mayor in Chicago. Apple was just introducing the iPhone 5. And my twins, Jane and Grace, were just 5 years old. And they're here today and they're 15 now. So that's quite a milestone. Back then, Skills was an idea about addressing the access and opportunity gap in employment that had been quietly piloted and was about changing the way we approach workforce and Chicago. We felt strongly about the model and the potential. We had an outstanding group of leaders behind us, and we made a really big public announcement. but we had no idea what kind of response we would get from the business community. In fact, as a founder, I can share that while today is a day of celebration, it took blood, sweat, and tears and this wonderful public-private partnership that is just uniquely Chicago to allow us to not just test the model, but to evolve it and scale it. What few people know is that in the first 3 months after launch, while we thought we had many companies committed, while we did have many companies committed to hiring, we couldn't get our candidates past the interview stage. So imagine that for a second. Big public announcement, companies sign up, and whoa, they can interview, but they won't hire. It was a little stressful. I have an alumni table there that can feel this pain. You remember what this is about. But at Skills, we were about measuring impact, not input. So we had to dig deeper with our employers and our recruiters at Skills to modify our approach, to do what we knew we could, to put our unemployed neighbors into jobs, not just interviews. We knew that if we could find a core group of employers to engage more deeply with our recruiting team, that we could prove the model worked, and that providing employers access to the great talent in Chicago that they did not know how to reach was the problem we were actually solving. Thankfully for us, we found these key employers. Truly, I will never forget these 5 employers because it started with 5. We literally sat in a room one time and said, the board member said, we got to start with 5. These 5 employers have been hiring with us since inception 10 years ago. And I would ask that if you are here from one of these employers, that you be recognized, because 10 years of hiring and taking a risk with us is something that everybody else has benefited from. AIM Specialty Health, CDW, Friedman Seating Company. Stand up, you guys, stand up. Go Health, JP Morgan Chase, and Rush. Thank you, thank you, thank you. First, these companies hired 1 person, then 10 a month, then 20. This past month, the team at Skills, working with employers, working with 35 companies, put 200 individuals into a job in 1 month. That's our new all-time high in a month. By the way, this was all happening when everybody was saying they couldn't find talent, and Skills actually was finding great talent. I also want to take a moment to thank the 120 community organizations that have partnered with us over the years as referral partners, but also as our members of our co-created community-based organization collective, which truly lifts up the best of Chicago, with 16 not-for-profit workforce development CEOs together as collaborators, not competitors. And Karina and Karen, thank you for being my friend. Thank you for being friends of Skills. And thank you for lifting up our community together. It's a really special thing we've done. Thank you. To the 10,000 individuals, our neighbors who've been placed into jobs, I want to say this. We're just a small part of our journey, but thank you for trusting us, because I know there's so many promises that are made that are broken and you don't know whether to trust or not. And thank you for being on this journey with us and continuing to be with us. I also want to thank our initial funders that came together to take a risk on the new Skills model. Of particular note, I want to thank the city of Chicago, Samir, and your predecessors for being a first mover and continuous funder for us over the years. I know it's budget season. Don't forget us. We're here. Thanks. I also want to thank our friends, JP Morgan Chase. I saw them there in the middle. They were the first private sector funder who made a donation to us. They took a huge leap on us, a $600,000 grant in 2012. 10 years later, they have funded us to the tune of $3 million and have been one of our biggest hiring partners. Special thanks to JP Morgan Chase. When you're out there rocking and rolling and trying to get people to believe in something new, it's something I always say, I will never forget the folks that touched us along the way. We've gone from a $3 million organization with 18 staff to now a $10 million organization with over 70 staff. You heard about our board that's grown, and most importantly, we've gone from placing 500 job seekers a year to this year hitting our all-time high of 1,500 and counting. It's amazing. And there have been so many key moments over the last 10 years that I just want to highlight quickly. I think about the launch of our youth programming. Walgreens, who's here today, was our lead partner then to design our career pathways for youth. And right now, we have a cohort of youth being trained to become pharmacy techs with a 94% retention rate. You heard that, 94% retention rate. It can be done. I think about our response rate to COVID, the crisis, and how we were able to pivot to keep our doors open and to keep placing individuals into jobs. I think about our friends from Discover Financial Services, how they partnered with us to move the jobs to the people rather than transporting the people to the jobs. And this past year, we've placed 260 Chicagoans into jobs at Discover with a retention rate of 86%. Who doesn't want that? I think about the opening of our neighborhood offices on the south and the west sides and the community partners who have welcomed us into their neighborhoods, which, by the way, is a big deal when you're coming from downtown to be welcomed to the neighborhoods. Special thanks to the Greater Englewood Community Development Corporation and the North Lawndale Employment Network as we're working out of their locations with them. Today, 81% of the people we place into jobs come from the south and west sides, and 91% of who we place are Black and brown Chicagoans. We are doing the work. Finally, I think about opening our first affiliate site in Rhode Island and then taking on the responsibility of expanding the skills model nationally. Today, we are completing our second public round effort to find our next sites, to go to 25 sites over the next 10 years. And I can't say it today, but I am going to tease out that there should be an announcement here coming before the end of the year with who that site is. If you're really clever, you might find them in this room, but I can't say anything more. We are simply not done with our work yet, and we won't be until we eliminate the disparity in unemployment between Black and white Americans. No matter what year it has been, the unemployment disparity is always 2 to 2.5%, 2 to 2.5 times higher for Black Americans than our white ones. Our goals for the next several years are clear. We're going to reduce Black and brown unemployment. We're going to double the number of Fortune 500 companies partnering with skills. So if you're in here and are not hiring with us, we're going to find you. We're going to increase wages for the South and West Side neighbors, and we're going to increase the number of companies that are locating in our neighborhoods. And by the way, I will say that is the hardest thing to do, and we are not done with that. And thank you to Blue Cross and Discover for being with us on that effort. Thank you. So let's close this out where we started, the power of a job and assuring that one zip code does not determine your destiny. Listen closely today to the stories from those who've connected with skills and secured a job. Yes, a job provides financial security, and that is no doubt a major part of this, but it is so much more than a paycheck. It's an identity, it's a community, it's the first or middle rung on a career ladder with advancement opportunities, and it's security that allows you to buy a home and get married. It's all of those things. That is what skills is. That's what you've helped us do with 10,000 people. We are the neighbor of thousands of unemployed to get their resume to the top, and it's the power of the job. Thank you for being on that journey with us. All right, let's get to the good stuff. I'm done. Let's get to the really good stuff. Jackie's here next. As you see, we wanted to bring back some folks from over the years to see what's happened with them. And so Jackie's going to give you an update. She was placed in 2018 at Ulta Beauty. In the 4 years since, her career's flourished, and I'm not going to steal her thunder. Listen to what she has to say and just be amazed. Jackie, take it away.
Good morning. My name is Jackie Pinedo. I want to thank Skills for Chicagoland's Future for inviting me to the 2022 Employment Champions Breakfast. I like this event better than the last one that was in 2020 because there's only 20 people there due to COVID. So I'm much more excited to talk to a full room of people. Work is a big part of my life. I needed to help support my mother and siblings, so I started working in high school. My mother worked tirelessly to provide for us after my father passed away. Her work ethic inspired me, and I wanted to help ease her financial burden. After high school, I knew I needed to find permanent work, but I struggled finding one. I didn't know where to turn, and I didn't even have a resume. Then I found Skills. Skills helped me land a role with Ulta Beauty in 2018. I was a beauty advisor, a perfect fit for my love of makeup and beauty supplies. Ulta Beauty has an outstanding career pathway. I worked hard and quickly gained more responsibilities and promotions. Over a few years, I was promoted multiple times and became the youngest services manager in the region. Then, I got some exciting news that actually made me cry. As a few weeks ago, I was promoted again to general manager for Ulta Beauty in Hyde Park. I never thought to be where I'm at today. As a Latina growing up from south side of Chicago, I could only see myself go so far. But thanks to Skills for Chicagoland's future, I was given an amazing opportunity. Skills got the momentum going for me. I then received support from my leaders at Ulta Beauty, especially from my district manager, Emma Puccio, and I worked as hard as possible. Now I get to run the store Skills placed me in 4 years ago. It is unbelievable. In 2020, I said I wanted to help others join the Ulta Beauty family. Since then, I personally have had the chance to do just that. My Skills story has come a full circle because I get to hire people through Skills. Thank you. I attend job fair Skills hosts, and I get to look for people who were my situation, and I give them the same opportunity that I received. Essentially, I'm hiring myself. There is so much great talent out there. You have to take chances on someone without a resume or someone who doesn't look like everyone else on paper or in person. I saw an interview Salma Hayek did about how she felt being in a Marvel superhero movie called Eternals. Her quote stood the most out to me. She said, "I saw my brown face in a Marvel costume, and I began to cry because I saw all the little girls in me, all the dreams that I thought I only had in my head, and look where I'm at." In my role as a general manager, I hope to inspire others. I have superpowers too. I get to hire people who look like me, and I get to change lives through the power of a job. I may have achieved my goal from 2018, but I'm not stopping the momentum now. My passion is helping others and providing opportunities. I want to continue into corporate human resources so I can expand. Yeah. So I can expand my impact and focus on creating more opportunities for Latinos, for DACA recipients, for all minorities. On behalf of myself and my family, thank you, Ulta Beauty. Thank you, Skills. Thank you, everyone who has supported this work. And I ask you all today, do not stop. There are so many other people that need skills to get their momentum going for them, the need to see themselves in positions of leadership, the need to get their superpowers and help change lives through the power of a job.
Whew. Thank you, Jackie. You do have superpowers. I also think she may be our future fundraiser. So watch out, Ulta. I might be talking to her afterwards. Okay. Whew. That's an incredible story. All right, it's your turn to be a superhero to someone else, to pay it forward. I can tell you 10 years ago, I always feel like I look so far ahead, but I don't think it had occurred to me that the people we were placing early on were going to be the people that were going to be hiring the people later. It's an extraordinary full circle. And we have so much more work to do. We have another 20,000 folks put together into jobs in the next 10 years. We have a goal today of raising an additional $40,000 because that will help us place an additional recruiter in one of our 2 neighborhood offices, which is going to result in another 150 people getting jobs. Every dollar is going to go directly into programming, and we need your help. This is where the pressure comes on. You're like, am I going to give? Every dollar matters. So if you can pull out your phones, and if you can text skills to 76278, any dollar amount makes a difference, and I know we can get there. I know Jim Coleman from Accenture is actually kicking us off with a donation today already because he could not be here. That's how kind some folks have been. So grab those phones. We'll get out of breakfast sooner if we reach the number faster, right? Let's do it. I think we're going to have a little thing running here. The team told me, be careful. It takes a little bit. Don't get nervous. I learned from my previous chair, whoa. Is that for real? Is that real, team? Okay, I think unless somebody, wow, maybe we should have set this at 60,000. All right, Jackie, you're hired. All right, keep giving because look, hey, if we really do great at this and we do 80,000, that's 2 recruiters, which is 300 people. So let's just keep it up. This is incredible. Look at those names coming up. Thank you. Let's keep this going. Okay, now I want to introduce Pam Tully, our Chief Program Officer. She's over there. She's going to give the award for the Champion for the Unemployed, a very special award. And so Pam, please take it away.
Thanks, Marie. Good morning. It is really, really nice to see everybody here this morning, so thank you. I'm Pam Tully, the Chief Program Officer at Skills for Chicagoland's Future, and I have the pleasure of overseeing all program operations in Chicago and sharing with you the award recipient for the 2022 Skills Champion for the Unemployed Award. This award is presented each year to one employer partner that demonstrates ongoing support for skills by hiring the unemployed, providing pro bono and financial support, and serving as a corporate advocate. I am so pleased to share that this year's champion for the unemployed is Jewel Osco. Skills' relationship with Jewel Osco began back in 2017 and has grown tremendously in the 5 years since. In addition to being in neighborhoods across the region, Jewel Osco hires at all levels, entry-level, management, at the distribution center, to provide job access and a career pathway for a wide range of job seekers looking for work. What began as a hiring partnership with 100 people placed into jobs grew to include our first donation from Jewel in 2019. Eric Stevenson, Vice President of Human Resources, joined our board in 2019, and Eric will share with you what has happened since then. I don't want to steal his thunder, so please join me in congratulating Jewel Osco and welcoming Eric to the stage.
Quite the morning, huh? So I've seen some of the speeches that others have prepared. I can promise you mine is 1 page, and I can keep it moving to make sure that we get to the good stuff, as Marie said. But thank you first, Skills, for recognizing Jewel Osco with this award and for putting on this truly inspiring breakfast. I'm honored and I'm humbled to stand here and accept the Champion for the Unemployment Award on behalf of Jewel Osco. And thank you for the long-standing partnership and all that Skills does as an organization. Because of skills, we're bringing employment opportunities to Julasco and all of the companies here this morning to help create a culture of diversity, equity, and inclusion. As you heard, Julasco's partnership with Skills began in 2017, and since then, we've partnered to hire nearly 1,000 individuals for local neighborhoods and communities in which we serve. As all of you know in here, based on the gift cards that you received, your local Jewels, right? That's where you go. Every one of you in here knows where the location is, you know the people in your store, you know where the product is located, unless we're remodeling, right? We want you to be the local partners. We are the local community grocer. So this year alone, we're on pace to onboard 200 new talented individuals. And I have no doubt that we're going to get there, because at the end of the day, we all aspire for the same goal, to get more people working at companies with strong, long-term career paths like Julasco and the companies in the room. As you heard Marie said, that is the power of a job. As we plan for 2023 and beyond, our workforce development goals will remain focused on placing local talent in our store manager trainees, our department manager trainees, our 2 micro-fulfillment centers, our Melrose Park Distribution Center, and offering staffing flexibility for our part-time store associates, which, if for those that don't know, over 33,000 employees at Julasco across 188 stores. So before I step away, I have some great news, some really, really great news. And it's been under wraps. She's got it. We have a big check. You can't take this check literally to the bank, but we've been keeping it a secret, so to speak. We had a register campaign through the month of August. And as you might expect, we have a lot of folks that shop at Julasco. 6 million customers a week, as a matter of fact. So we asked them, we said, hey, we have this great partnership. Skills hires a lot of local people. I feel like I'm unwrapping a Christmas present here. Thank you, Mary Frances. And we said, we'd like you to donate. We'd like you to help support what we do in our local communities. So, the unveiling, thanks to our wonderful customers, we're donating 100% of $379,000, $161.25. And for the tables here, before they sit down, I just want to recognize the tables that we have here in Julasco. None of this, right? I'm just speaking to it. The real recognition goes to the district managers, the store directors, the HR team that you see standing at these 2 tables up front. They're what makes it happen. So again, on behalf of Julasco, we could not be more thrilled to be partners with Skills. It's been a great 5 years. We're not going anywhere. Julasco's here to stay, and we really thank you for the opportunity to be part of this great breakfast and part of supporting Skills as one of the leading partners. So I really appreciate it.
Okay, sorry team, I'm gonna make a little change here. So we have to give the award, but I don't know if everybody can appreciate one thing that I think is so important. This partnership really 5 years ago, we really did not even know Jewel. And this is what happens when you work together. They had told us that they were hoping that we would hit 100,000 with the point of sale, 100,000. This number is extraordinary. And so truly, thank you.
My name is Emilio Castaneda, and I am a store manager trainee at Jewel Osco. So I was born in Chicago, raised in the southwest suburbs. I come from a background in retail. I worked all through college. I graduated in May 2020. So after graduation, I was just looking for the next step, and I saw this opportunity at Jewel Osco through Skills for Chicagoland's Future. The whole process was pretty quick, probably a week, less than a week. My experience at Jewel has been great. I've met a lot of awesome people so far. It's a different side of retail than what I've been accustomed to. So I've been absorbing the culture there, meeting a lot of great new people, getting some new experiences in there. I would say the connection between Skills and Jewel made a great positive impact on my life. They really showed me the power of community and the power of these organizations connecting together can really benefit the individual looking for a job, but also the community. Because when an individual succeeds, I think we all succeed. If I could say one thing about Skills, I would say thank you. They helped me kickstart my career upon graduation, so thank you.
Okay. I do need to assure my children who thought that my husband was going to be the biggest donor of Jewel that is not all of us. Promise you. So thank you for everybody who donated. All right, Eric. First. Okay. What you don't know is he just had a baby and he's on 3 hours of sleep, literally 2 weeks ago. So thank you for being here. We heard today, you've hired, almost 1,000 people. Take us back 5 years. What made you want to partner with Skills? What made you want to grow and expand the partnership? And, what can you share that you learned from that process?
Sure. So 2017, we get introduced to Skills. And I got to tell you, what hit us is the model, right? You've got a lot of different workforce development groups out there, all trying to do good. But Skills, it's the say-do ratio, right? It's the fact of they came to us and basically said, here's what we're going to do. We commit to this. If you commit to us, we're going to commit to you. We can do this together. And it was outstanding. They've overachieved on every single conversation we've had with them in terms of finding talent locally, getting into the communities. The advice, jump in with both feet. You've heard Marie say it. If you're not hiring with Skills today, you need to be. They're just amazing.
Thanks. Thank you. Emilio, you've been with Jewel Osco now for a little over a year. Take us back when you were looking for a job and you landed at Jewel Osco. What was your job search like? What were the obstacles you were experiencing? And how is Skills able to help you?
Yeah, so I graduated with my bachelor's degree in business administration in May of 2020. So it was a great time to graduate college. So from that point on, all the way up until November of last year, I was very desperately looking for a job. I had to have had applied to at least over 100 easily, just everywhere, multiple different industries, in retail, which is my background, corporate, just hospitality industry, transportation, everywhere. And as we've heard before, it was really hard to find a job during that time. So for me personally, I found this listing for store manager trainee listed through Skills for Chicagoland's Future on Indeed. And what piqued my interest about it, I was kind of thinking, well, why isn't Jewel just hiring me straight out instead of through this company? But then I started looking more into Skills, and they said in the job description, they described Skills as they help companies hire unemployed and underemployed individuals. And I thought to myself, well, I'm underemployed because I'm sitting on a degree that I'm not using. And so I looked more into this store manager trainee gig. And I thought this is a really interesting opportunity for me because I'm combining my business education with my retail background that came from Target. So it was really interesting to see that. And so after that, I applied. I got in touch with Skills. I interviewed with them just to get a feel. And then it went really well. They followed up with me through every step of the process. And then they sent my information on to Jewel Osco. And we hit it off from there. And here we are.
Thank you.
I think I flew past the introductions, but Manika's with Blue Cross Blue Shield. Can you talk some about the journey you went through when you joined our board and, inheriting that relationship from where it was at and what it has done for you and how you've evolved with it?
Yeah, absolutely, Marie. And first, I want to say congratulations to you and your team on 10 years. It's been phenomenal. So I've been on the board for the past 2 years, joined during the pandemic, of course. But HCSC, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois, has been a part of Skills for the past 7 years. And my predecessor is what really started this relationship and this partnership with Skills. It's really very much because of we align, right? We align on our purpose and what we're doing. And one of the things that has kept us as a partner to Skills is, for one, Marie, you and your team, but two, you guys do what you say you're going to do. It's the ease of working with you. You're the real deal. You prepare people like Emilio and Audra to contribute to our workforce and everyone's workforce out there. And again, there's a lot of models out there, but the Skills model is top notch for sure. And I think, again, going back to aligning us kind of values and what's important and supporting the community, our purpose at HCSC is to do everything within our power to stand with our members in sickness and health. And we add to that to stand with our communities as well. And so finding a partner like Skills that really embraces that, and you not only talk the talk, but you walk the walk and you show results. And what you've been able to accomplish in 10 years is why, as Eric said, we're not going anywhere. We're going to be around and encourage all of you to get on this train. So
That's great. I think one thing to note too about Blue Cross Blue Shield is if you have not been down to their Morgan Park facility, which also has a community center component. I was actually just there again last week. There are so many individuals that you have hired from the neighborhood who are so incredibly grateful, but also how they've approached the neighborhood and have funded, organizations there as well is incredible. So, great work and great model. And I know you're doing more of that. So that brings us to Audra, and your story is also so inspiring. You've been with Blue Cross Blue Shield now for 2 years. Can you share a little bit about the challenges you experienced obtaining a job and talk about what it was about Blue Cross Blue Shield that made you select them and also how Skills helped you?
Yeah, so my situation is a little bit different from Emilio. I am not exactly a spring chicken. So I left my position in 2016. And I found it difficult to be placed. I left a role at a major university in the city in a very demanding administrative role. And I had employers telling me literally, you're too experienced. You have too much experience. They saw me as a risk and that I would leave. So I was averaging three interviews a week, and it was extremely frustrating. I wasn't getting any positions offered, stalking job boards and becoming very frustrated. So I reached out to the Department of Human Services, who then connected me to Skills. My first interview, I was hired actually by Ulta Beauty. And then we kind of were displaced because of the pandemic. But with the dedicated and committed team members that they have at Skills, they followed up with me during the pandemic and referred me to Blue Cross and Blue Shield. I took a leap of faith. I took the position, not knowing that it was the best career move I've ever made.
wait, Audra, who was your supervisor at Ulta, by the way?
My supervisor at Ulta was Jackie Pinedo. That is amazing.
I don't think we knew that. I didn't know that until today.
Yes.
It's incredible. I swear we don't script these things that well.
No.
So I think that's an incredible part of it. And we're going to check back here in a minute. But let me pivot. Did you want to add anything else before did you add?
No,
okay.
Not at all.
Okay. So I wanted to pivot a little bit to a question that I know is on the minds of a lot of business leaders in the room. The role of the chief diversity officer has skyrocketed to the top of the list for companies, right? Is trying to, achieve progress against DEI. But the CDO is not a magic bullet. And sometimes people are putting a lot of pressure on this one person to do this work. What have been, we'll start, maybe Monica, I'll start with you. What have been the biggest success and challenges in meeting your DEI goals? And what advice do you have for the audience? And then Eric, I'm going to ask you the same thing.
Yeah, I would say, so first of all, if you know anything about Blue Cross Blue Shield, diversity, equity, and inclusion, we've been in this space for a long time. We're a 90-year-old organization. It is really rooted in everything that we do, and I say that sincerely and genuinely, and I've got 2 tables of employees here that can attest to that. Thank you, team. Amazing, amazing. Don't look too hard at the table. Don't be trying to recruit our folks, right? Okay, it is the war for talent right here, but an amazing group of people. And so for us, it's one of the reasons that brought me to the company 16 years ago. It's definitely one of the reasons that keeps me here. And we are very dogged about infusing diversity, equity, and inclusion through all of our processes. And we call it from hire to retire, right? We're a very tenured organization. We're very tenured when it comes to wanting to get members, retain members. So everything that we do has that lens through it. And so we actually upped our game. I shared at a skills board meeting recently. We upped our game at the beginning of the pandemic, and we infused pretty significantly our long-term incentive plan goal to tie meaningful executive compensation to our diversity and inclusion goals. So as in this room, you've got your annual goals, but your executive also have their long-term goals. And we've got it as a meaningful part of that compensation plan. And I can tell you, our executives have embraced it. Our board has embraced it. And so for us, that was the next step. We've been on this DEI journey for a really long time. We've had great success. And as we're continuing to push the needle and push ourselves, we said, okay, if we're really going to take the next step and take the next level, we've got to make sure that everyone's behind this and supportive of it, and putting it as part of compensation is a big deal.
That's bold. Yeah, putting it as part of compensation is bold. Thank you for that. You're definitely a leader in that. Eric.
So I would start with ditto. All of those things and more. That is exactly what Jewel Osco has been doing. Same thing in terms of from a tenured perspective, 120 years in the community. Same you kind of see at the table here in terms of what we're looking for. The diversity, equity, inclusion, it can't be at single person. It's not a one-person role. It's got to be embedded in the culture. And I think as you think about your local Jewel Osco, and you think about, we want folks that work in the community, right? Every store is not cookie cutter, right? And it's not a knock against other companies. You think McDonald's, you want that same you want a Big Mac at all those stores. For a Jewel Osco, we want those stores to reflect the community, right? Whether it's a Black History Month, whether it's Hispanic, whether it's kosher. We pride ourselves on bringing that local talent in and at that store level, and then kind of getting out of the way. In terms of, you think about our store directors, you think about our district managers and career pathing. Most people look at grocery and go, yeah, that's a first job. And for us, for the folks that have been with a company, it's not unusual to have 50 and 60-year employees. That long tenured employee that comes through and says, I can make this a career, and there's so many different opportunities. There's so many different ways to function within that. And from a mentorship perspective, a lot of the things that we do kind of naturally as you come through is, yes, you've got the DEI initiatives, and we measure everything down to the nickel, down to the penny. We do that with our people as well, but it's also kind of getting out of the way, providing the framework and letting those store directors, those district managers, the folks part-time and full-time in the store to kind of network and build that community from within, and then promote from there.
And Marie, can I add?
Yeah,
to the
please.
community? I can't underscore the community piece enough. I mean, you talked about it with Morgan Park, with our service center and our Blue Door Neighborhood Center. We also have a Blue Door Neighborhood Center, our very first one that we opened in Pullman. Stay tuned. We're going to be announcing an opening in Pilsen as well, as Samir knows. So again, this is not just a fly by night. I mean, this is who we are, and timing is everything, right? To get the right timing, the right motivation, and being in our communities in a meaningful way, and helping to support local economies. And as our president and CEO, Marie Smith, says, having that force multiplier, that multiplier effect, and making an investment in the community and having others see that, right? A large company like ourselves, having that staying power and encouraging others to do the same. So
thank you. You both clearly built it into the DNA of the organization. It's extraordinary. And I'm sure folks will be following up with you on that. Nice segue, actually, Emilio. I'm going to come at you and then Audra. Ernst & Young actually completed a survey this summer about why people leave jobs. And one of the things, and why people stay. And one of the big things that people were saying that they really want is career advancement and, of course, compensation. Can you talk a little bit about, at Jewel Osco, and then Audra, think about the same question. What is it that, Jewel Osco is doing right that is keeping you there during this work for talent?
So even when I first started at Jewel, because I don't change jobs very often, so it gives me anxiety. So just big life changes. So obviously I've heard of Julasco. I've lived with Julasco for my whole life, but working there, I was like, what is this company really about? And everyone I asked, said it's very family oriented. It's a great workplace culture. So that's what I really liked about it, and I decided to take the jump. And from then on, like I said, I'm coming up on 1 year of employment next month. What I like about it is that the program I'm in is very flexible, so I'm not set on one path. I can kind of work with it and kind of play around a little bit and see what I like, what I don't like, and then go from there. Which a lot of jobs don't have that flexibility. My last job didn't have that much flexibility in my opportunities. So that was a big thing, was just in terms of advancement, how easily I can move around and network and meet all these new people was really cool.
And before I switch to Audra, I want to take this question one step further with you, Amelia, because you shared with me something very interesting about how this job has impacted you, not just your job, but your health. And talk about the produce story you told me.
Yes, yeah. So after going through all the departments, a couple weeks here and there, I was placed in the produce department. I work at the Orland Park, Julasco. And it's a lot of fun. It's my favorite department now. I love it there. It's really helped me on my personal health journey that I started. Even before starting at Julasco, I started on this journey. I started losing weight. I started eating healthier. I'm actually running the Chicago Marathon next Sunday. So, when I started at Jewel, I was looking in the produce department, and I started learning about all these different fruits and vegetables that I've never heard of, that I never saw before, never heard of. It was very obscure fruits that that once I started working in produce, I started, gaining the product knowledge about that. I started, just buying it, looking up recipes, Googling it, and then taking it home and making something with it. So it's really helped me personally to push my fitness journey further. And it's really awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Excellent.
Yeah. That's the power of a job, right? Power of a job. I mean, the health impact. Audra, you also, have had these career advancement that's happened to you at Blue Cross. Can you talk a little bit about that? And also, what is it that's so special about, Blue Cross Blue Shield that's keeping you there?
So I've been with Blue Cross and Blue Shield for 2 years, and I'm actually on my 5th role. After a year, you're eligible to apply for internal positions, which they make very easy. It's a very simplified application process for existing employees. So after 1 year, I moved to headquarters downtown here in Chicago into Health Advocacy Solutions. After a year, I actually was promoted to a marketing department, which I just accepted 5 weeks ago. I am a reporting analyst. I have the most job security, financial security, and independence than I ever had in my entire life. And I'm over the moon. I think that, I want to say this about what keeps me there in terms of retention. So at Blue Cross and Blue Shield, they make sure that the employee experience is enhanced on every level. That's what really impressed me. Every move I made and everyone I talked to in new departments, they've been there for 15 years, 25 years, 40 years. So that was very telling to me. And we're all having the same conversations. We're talking about the API, that's the annual bonus that we were eligible for even before 1 year of working there. I'd never seen anything like that before in all my years. And I'm no spring chicken, like I said before. So that's important. The wellness incentives program is excellent. They make sure that these are practical programs that employees value. The gas stipend was very practical. We have a Motiva movement, which helps you manage the work-life balance, which is important. Stress relief is majorly important, and we all know that. And all of these programs increases productivity. We also know that. So I see myself retiring from Blue Cross and Blue Shield. Yeah. They walk the walk. We have a My Learning, which is a corporate-based training that you can just take on your own time and learn everything about leadership skills, IT, or anything that you're interested in. It keeps the mind going. Some people pay good money for these courses, so they just have a practical solution to enhancing the employee experience. Once they get the survey results, they implement them immediately. For example, just a few months ago, we received a corporate email, and they increased the base wage for some of our positions, and everybody got at least a 3% increase. And it was on the next paycheck. So it wasn't coming up, it was already in the works.
All right, Audra, wow. She is a commercial for Blue Cross Blue Shield.
I'm passionate.
With the war for talent, I think there's some nervous employers out there right now. There are others taking notes and writing these things down. We are kind of out of time, so I do want to do this really quickly. Audra, I think it's really important for you to share what you did last week. That was so important. And then just tell everybody your dream job that you want to retire at, okay?
All right, everybody. I just became a property owner. I closed on a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom house on Friday. I could not have done this without skills placing me at Blue Cross and Blue Shield, for sure. I couldn't have done it. In 10 years, I do see myself as a published author, hopefully a owner of multiple properties, and a leader in talents and acquisition. I would like to be in HR.
Yeah.
I want to get a master's.
Looking at your
degree soon on it.
position.
Come on. I'll take you and Jackie. Come on, Jackie.
Amelia, if you don't mind, I'm going to give you the last. If you don't mind, I'm going to let.
No, you don't even need Eric.
Okay, Amelia, we're going to let Amelia give the last word. Amelia, your career aspiration here for where do you see yourselves at?
I would say I don't have a set position, like I want to be this title. I just want to be in a position where I can make the most impact and affect the most change.
Yeah.
And I think Jewel Osco is a very great resource to help me with that.
Yeah, great. Thank you. All right, thank you to all of our panelists. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for leading the way. Power of the job. I'm going to turn it over to our good friend, Brenda, for North Lawndale Employment Network, who's going to share a few words.
My name is Brenda Palms, and I'm the president and CEO of the North Lawndale Employment Network. I love working with skills because they are a best practice organization. They have demonstrated how to communicate effectively with the demand side of our work, workforce development, by cultivating relationships with employers and helping them to understand the value that entry-level workers and those seeking employment can bring to their company. Our partnership with Skills has grown and deepened. One, because I think we both have focused on the importance of listening to one another. And I think that as long as we've continued to keep our dialogue open between one another, that has allowed us to grow and deepen our relationship. Thank you, Skills. Thank you for this incredible partnership and helping us to improve the quality of life for the residents of North Lawndale.
And felicidades, Jackie, and the over 10,000 stories and placements that we've had over the years. I mean, whether you're here in the room or live streaming today, what an amazing journey over the last 10 years. My name is Daniel Cervantes, and I'm the Senior Vice President over National Expansion Strategic Initiatives. It's a pleasure to be here. And as you just heard from Brenda, the work is not possible unless we're working alongside community partners and the work that it takes to collaborate and really support each other. Annually, at this event, we highlight standout advocate partners, both in the nonprofit and non-corporate community, that has driven and really worked alongside Skills to really generate impressive results and serve as an advocate for the unemployed and truly bedrocks for the community. For our 10th anniversary, we are recognizing some of our top nonprofit and government partners, many of you who may be in this room today, who honestly have over the last 10 years partnered to really be a big factor in placing over the 10,000 individuals. In particular, this morning, I want to recognize some of you who are in this room and would welcome that you please stand up if you're here with us. CARE Chicago, the Chicago Urban League, Goodwill, Growing Home, Jane Addams Resource Center, Metropolitan Family Services, POA, and Poder Works. We're honored to work alongside with you. Now I'd like to welcome to the stage our board chair, Mark Hopelmazian, CEO of Hyatt.
Wow, I'm almost breathless. What an incredible morning. And the personal testimony of Jackie and Emilio is just, it's remarkable. It's what catches my breath and my heart every breakfast, even when there were only 25 people in the room 2 years ago. By the way, as to Danny, I got to know Danny the first day I was on my job as chair of the board. Danny was employee number 2 of Skills. So he's been here from the very beginning, and even in my short tenure of now a little over 4 years in this position, his growth as a leader has been amazing. So Skills is obviously doing something right for their own talent development, and he's now leading the national expansion effort. And the number that you heard from Marie, which is 25 locations over the next 10 years, it's not a pipe dream. This is a plan. I know sometimes people say, people paint these great grandiose pictures, but they are more like statements of intent than they are a strategic plan. We actually have a plan, and I have 100% confidence that we're going to be able to seriously expand the reach of Skills under Danny's leadership. So thank you, Danny. So the Skills team every year, they help me to, they prompt. They give me some ideas about things that they think that people might be interested to hear from me. And they usually pose them as questions. So the first question was, what drew you to Skills to begin with? And I'm not going to answer all the questions that they posted. I'd be here for an hour and a half. But I will start with this one. And I would say, you heard it from many different people on video and otherwise, but for me, there was a rational side and there was an emotional side. The rational side was, the left brain kicks into gear, and all of a sudden you're looking at longitudinal data. They're looking at persistence and retention rates. They're looking at employment security. Even if people left the first job that they were placed into, did they then go on to get another job at a higher wage rate? They were tracking every single one of these data points longitudinally by zip code, by industry. So I sat there and I walked out of that first meeting thinking, oh my God, these data science capabilities are something I got to take back to Hyatt. So I was blown away. Like, this is a super professional organization. Marie mentioned the youth placement program in which we're seeing 95% retention. I mean, we're all hiring people out there. 95% is a staggering figure in today's world, and that's after 90 days. And so now, what you should know is that's an interesting data point as far as Skills is concerned, but they would say, talk to me in 5 years and we're going to track this and see what we learn from that and how we apply that. They take the same approach to practicing empathy. We talk about the practice of empathy at Hyatt all the time. What they learn about what the needs of corporations are, actual needs, and then how they adapt what they do either by way of identifying or training or helping to onboard individuals is modified. It's customized for the needs of those companies. And that to me is a massive recipe for success. But really, the truth is that the emotional side, my right brain, is really what captured my imagination, because I personally believe that the fastest path to a more equitable community is through expanded employment, especially in neighborhoods that are still at high teens rate or low 20s rate of unemployment. And there are many of them in Chicago. The overall unemployment rate is very misleading. So when I first joined 4 years ago, we were at all-time lows, 3% unemployment, but we still had 20% unemployment in Englewood and in Austin and in West Garfield Park. So people don't understand that, and it's not that complicated. So to me, getting a job and getting someone on a career path, which you just heard about earlier today, is the fastest way to a more equitable community, and that's super inspiring to me. So that's really what the truth is. Yeah, the left brain was satisfied. The right brain actually triggered the let's do this. I think the one reflection I'll make, as we all reflected on the event 2 years ago, when we had a strict restriction on no more than 25 people in this room. So to look out across the sea of people is amazing to me. COVID was hell, and what Skills did is they continued to pivot and adapt. And the key adaptations were twofold, in my opinion. The first is they doubled down on going towards corporations to really engage in a holistic advisory capacity. And the most amazing example of that, and we talked about it last year because Discover was our employment partner of the year, was advising Discover on setting up their call center in Chatham. Chatham is a neighborhood on the south side. It is underserved. The unemployment rate's very high. They currently have, are they to 1,000 yet? Okay. So they continue to hire at a pretty staggering pace, and they've hired 95% of the people within a 5-mile radius of their center. And it is the top performing call center in their entire network in the United States. So this was not just a matter of charity. This was actually a phenomenal business decision. The second thing that Marie led the way on, and she mentioned it in passing, but it is truly unprecedented in the country, is the CBOC, the Community-Based Organization Collective. Not-for-profit organizations are great, but they are funded a certain way and they have a certain mandate, and they don't often figure out a way to be able to collaborate together. And when you're in workforce, you got to collaborate. We are a demand-driven organization. We start with the corporations and their needs and work backwards to find the people to fill those jobs. I would say the vast majority of workforce organizations in the country are supply-driven. That is, they start with the person and then go seek out positions. And there's a huge difference in that, obviously. But to be able to marry them together and do it with very different populations is magic. It's just really hard to do. I worked on this for 2 years with the former head of the Chicago Community Trust about 8 years ago, and we failed. We could not get organizations to work together, and Marie put this together with a couple of partners, and now there are 14-member organizations, 16-member organizations in Chicago. This will go down as a model for how communities can do workforce at scale in a highly coordinated way. Those are two amazing things that happened. The third amazing thing that happened is that instead of hunkering down and pulling back, we decided to extend. And the first extension was to Englewood. So we opened Englewood as our Southside location. We just opened our North Lawndale location. And for reference, these are very underserved communities. However, in the last 2 years, year and a half, Skills has placed over 110 people from the specific communities of Englewood and Glendale. If you extend that to the adjacent neighborhoods, it's 1,400 people that we have placed out of the Englewood area and the North Lawndale area, so the south side and the west side. This corresponds, yeah, it's amazing. And so it corresponds to the neighborhoods that do have the highest unemployment rates. This is not casual that we selected these areas. Again, it's data-based. And secondly, it does align with what the city is trying to do with respect to supporting and building true capacity and employment base on the south side and the west side of Chicago. So those are some examples of what makes me so incredibly proud of this team. These are some of the things that I think are signs of an enduring and great organization. So I now have a special, highly confidential announcement to make. And I'm not, it sounds like I'm joking, but I'm not. So if you could, I am being really serious, really, I know you're like, oh my God, what could it be? But it's a big deal and it's embargoed, meaning the actual donor has not announced this yet and they don't want it to be public. So I would really appreciate if you could put your phones down. No tweeting, no posting, no reference of this whatsoever. So we are going to have a covenant among the 700 people in this room to keep it confidential. We have been selected, Skills has been selected to receive Bank of America's 2022 Neighborhood Builders Award as one of 2 nonprofits in Chicago to win the award this year. Neighborhood Builders is a part of Bank of America's effort to build thriving communities. They've done a lot, and we are growing our relationship with them. The award goes to nonprofits that are addressing community sustainability, economic mobility through workforce development, education, basic needs, and community development work. It's extraordinarily competitive. First, you have to be invited to apply. Second, of the 100 organizations representing 50 cities across the US, there are thousands of candidates that will ultimately receive this award. There are thousands that ultimately are invited to apply. So the success rate is very low. And each recipient receives $200,000 in funding and a network of peer organizations to try to figure out how to access even more capital. So it's a point of pride that the actual quality and integrity of the work that we do is being recognized in something that I think is a really expansive idea for nationwide impact that Bank of America is undertaking. So thank you to Bank of America. So now, a couple of other things. Corporate executives in the room, you've heard the words, walk the talk. You've heard the words, they do what they say they're going to do. They also, if they expanded that a little further, would say they listen really, really well. So I'm inviting you to discover Skills if you're not already working with Skills, to experience the same. And it's not I'm not asking you to do something. I'm inviting you to do something for yourselves. And it's been phenomenal for Hyatt and all of the other employers that I speak with that are working with Skills. And I seek out feedback and hear it from people, has been really inspiring to me. For me personally, this has been a personal journey. I'm here for 4 years now. And Skills has given me a really profound and precious gift. It's opened my eyes and introduced me to so many amazing human beings living in parts of Chicago that I would have never gotten to had I not become involved with Skills. I've spent the most time in Englewood. I toured and drove the neighborhood with a young woman who runs the Residents Association of Greater Englewood, known better by its acronym RAGE. And she has allowed me to see through her eyes and hear through her ears what she sees and hears, which is opportunity. I've also met with a group of formerly incarcerated young Black men who were working through CRED in the Austin neighborhood. And I have to tell you, sitting down at 9 o'clock in the morning and they start on time every day, the challenges that they go through to put their lives onto a different track, the resilience that it takes to actually take a step forward, even as they are still in the communities that led them to be incarcerated to begin with, is beyond humbling. It's also, it's just simply amazing how they are able to have that perseverance and that commitment to move forward. These are things that I would have never had the opportunity to gain exposure to. It's really changed how I see the world in many ways. And I am completely in awe of the dedication and perseverance and commitment of all these individuals. Because at the same time that they're trying to expand their own opportunities and get a job, they're also working really hard to repair and strengthen the fabric of community connections that binds us all together in one interconnected destiny. And that's really what we have to understand as Chicagoans. This is not a, oh, that happens in that neighborhood that's 3.5 miles away. This affects all of us. And there's nothing more amazing than that. So we're celebrating our 10th anniversary, and it's a time of high-fiving and record attendance, record placements, record money, and that's all great. But on the way here this morning, I was listening to the radio, and there's a U2 song called "I Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For," which is a great song. And I'm adapting it because what I would say is we still haven't created what we're trying to create. This is not a matter of finding something. There's no magic bullet. You don't turn over a rock and all of a sudden discover the answer to equity. You got to work at it. And the work is amazing. It's so fulfilling. And really, that's the journey ahead of us. We all have an opportunity to be a part of that. Skills is an enabler for so many corporations who are on a DEI path that changed in a sharp inflection point after George Floyd was murdered, and it's making a difference in that domain. It is a partner to the city's efforts to strengthen the South and West Side, elevate income and economic activity in those neighborhoods. It is a great partner to corporations, but also to the other community-based organizations that make up the CVOC. And finally, there's nothing more fulfilling than to see a person begin their job and move on to impact, which leads me to the introduction of our last speaker. In 2019, many of you were here and you heard Marquise Pittz get up and talk about his position at Rush. He's sitting next to me today. When I was asked by Marie, what's the one moment that really sticks out for you over the last 4 years? I said, listening to Marquise speak, because the one thing he said that just remains vivid in my mind is his commitment to stay and keep living in West Garfield Park and stay there to help transform that community. And I was brought to tears and amazed at his commitment. But what I found out today is he did not sleep 1 minute the night before because his girlfriend was in a car accident. He spent the entire night before he stood in front of a crowd of not about half this size. So first big public speaking engagement with no sleep. And he brought the house down. So with that, let me introduce Marquise Pittz.
Good morning. My name is Marquise Pittz, and I am excited to be at another Employment Champions Breakfast. Thank you, Skills for Chicagoland's Future, for inviting me back to share an update on how my career and life has been since 2019. If you don't know me, I'm from West Garfield Park, a great neighborhood on Chicago's west side. I am currently a patient transporter at Rush University Medical Center. I can truly say I would not be where I am today without skills. When I spoke in 2019, Rush had just won an award, and I was introduced by the CEO of Rush, Dr. Omar Latif. That was the first time I had met Dr. Latif, and I was able to share my story of graduating from Westerhouse College Prep High School without a plan for the future. I leaned on my community and they supported me. I joined a program at my church, the Mod for Redemption Project, to gain personal and professional skills. I was then connected to Skills for Chicagoland Future, and my career at Rush began. Now, 3 years later, I've been promoted and I'm taking classes to become an MRI tech on my way to becoming a radiologist. My passion is helping others. I look back and think about how becoming a doctor seems so far-fetched. Growing up in West Garfield Park, you don't see a lot of doctors or lawyers or other professions like that. I had an elementary school teacher named Ms. Stanley who said I should become a doctor. And once she said that, I didn't really believe her. Just growing up in my neighborhood, I found it like it wasn't possible. But Ms. Stanley told me, and I'll never forget, Marquise, don't you ever sell yourself short. So, unfortunately, people move out of West Garfield Park when they become successful because our neighborhood is underdeserved and lacking in essential resources. I am not one of those people. I am committed to West Garfield Park, and I'm going to help it grow. An idea I had as a kid came into reality in 2019. With the help of Dr. Latif, who I can now call a mentor, Rush, and other community leaders, there will be a new community wellness center placed in my neighborhood, West Garfield Park, in 2024. Instead of a vacant lot, there will be needed resources and services my neighbors can use. I want the next generation of kids to not only grow up, but succeed in West Garfield Park and be proud of their neighborhood as I am. This wellness center will be a place our community can rely on and take pride in. A place people can realize their future is full of opportunities, like becoming a doctor. Without skills as a catalyst to get me a job at Rush and provide me a platform to share my story, this wouldn't be possible. I love working at Rush. I tell everyone I know about Rush. And once my mother was looking for a job, I was able to refer her and get her a job as a clerk at Rush Oak Park. My parents has always supported me and provided for me. And it was just a blessing just to give back to my mother. As Skills celebrate the 10th anniversary today, I hope they'll have me back in the next 10 years, give you an update on my story again. I can imagine I'll be continuing to grow in my career in medical imaging and nearing the finish line of me becoming a radiologist. The Wellness Center will spark additional investments in West Garfield Park and the neighborhood. I will continue to transform, lifting up my neighbors along with it. The narrative of West Garfield Park will change. Skills was my way in, and Rush is now providing me a way up. And as I move up, I'm reaching out my hand to help people move along with me. When we work together and help each other, lives can change. On behalf of myself, my family, my community, thank you, Rush. Thank you, Skills, and thank you to everyone who has supported this work today.
I think what makes skills personal and special, I always talk about when you get involved in something, do you believe in the organization and the cause? And do you believe in the leadership? What made it personal and for me willing to accept the chair position, the cause is unwavering, it's performance-based, the results speak for themselves, and I've always believed in the capacity and the leadership and the empathy and the drive of Marie Lynch. The intersection of those two things brought me to Skills. I stay involved with Skills because of the mission. Skills has placed now over 10,000 people. I'm results driven and I like impact. I think the thing that is unique with Skills is they never rest on their press clippings or what they've achieved. They're always focused on the next placement. They're always expanding their reach. They are focused on what they can be, not what they have been. I think that's an important distinction that has people leaning on the balls of their feet and always striving to be better.
All right. We're at the end. 2 minutes. Just give me 2 minutes and we're done. Thank you for staying all the way through. And I think you can see why that was so important to hear all those pieces. Thank you, Marquise. I told him I think we're going to all be at his grand opening in 10 years. So hopefully we're on the VIP list. Okay, so I just want to close. Just give me 2 minutes and we're done, I promise. Can we just put up the temperature? Oh, come on. We're so close. Don't make me beg. Okay, can we get out this phone? We're so close. We're like, $1,200 away. If you have not given yet, give for Jackie, give for Marquise, give for the future of who we're putting in so we can get a recruiter out there. I know we can do this. I know you want your name up there. You want to go home. What if we don't go home until we hit 40,000? Who wants to go home? All right, I know this is going to come up. I know people are doing this. They said it's going to take a couple minutes for it to come through. So leave it up, and I'm going to do my thank yous, and then we'll dismiss when we hit 40,000. All right. Thank our speakers. Thank Hyatt so much for hosting us. Thanks to hospitality staff for having us. Our board chairs from Hyatt. We're at the Hyatt. It's maybe just coincidental. I want to thank so much so Kyle and our marketing team and Kirsten and our development team. Just so you all know, this is all in-house. This entire thing was done by the skills team. So thank you for them. I want to give them a round of applause. Thank you for each of the individuals who, to Audra and Emilio and Marquise and Jason, who's in the video. Hi, Jason. Thank you for sharing your stories and being so generous with that. Thank you to Mark for being our chair and sharing his journey. I've never done this in my 7 years up here, but I want to thank my husband, John, because this would not happen without him. So thank you, John. What's our temperature at? What is it? Oh, come on. Come on. That's like 10 people, $100, 20 people, $50 each. Oh, okay. All right. So thank you so much for caring. Please partner with us, donate. We're going to have the room open for the next half hour if you want to connect with any of our skills folks. If you want to go home and you're on the train and you want to donate, then that's great too. I'll check. And join us for our next event next year, October 4th, Wednesday, October 4th, 2023. We'll see you back. Thank you so much. Have a great one.